Hi, and welcome to the Tibetan Language Institute Introduction to Tibetan. This is a video course based on our book, Introduction to Tibetan Language Level One. I'm going to start with a presentation of the 30 consonants, the alphabet. The Tibetan alphabet is always taught in a manner like this, with the 30 consonants laid out in 8 rows and 4 columns. The reason for this is that Tibetan, similar to Sanskrit, has groups of sounds that are quite similar, that share characteristics in common. Here, the first row, which we can call the ka row, all the sounds are made in the throat. In the second row, all the sounds are made at the roof of the mouth. And the third, all the sounds are made at the teeth, with the tip of the tongue against the back of the teeth. The fourth, the sounds are made with the lips. And the first 3 letters of the 5th row, the sounds are made again at the roof of the mouth. When we look at the alphabet, we notice a series of dots in between the letters, and then at the end of the line, a vertical stroke. These are the only 2 punctuation marks in Tibetan. The dots separate syllables, and the strokes separate lines. The dots are called tseik, and the lines are called she. If a line ends in this letter here, na, it has both a tseik and a she. So the first row then is made up of 4 letters. So we could talk about the 4 different qualities that the 4 letters, depending on which column they're in, have. The first column, down to the dividing line here, all the sounds are short and high. In the second column, the sounds are medium in length, a high tone, and breathy. When we talk about tones in Tibetan, or high and low, we just mean that some sounds have a rising tone and some a falling tone. So, for instance, this is ka, and this is ga. So short and high, ka. Medium, high and breathy, ka. Long and low, ga. The 4th column here, the 4th letter in the first row, is na. It's long and low and nasal, na. So the whole first row then would be ka, ka, ga, na. The first 2 are high, the second 2 are low in tone. That's true for all the letters down to the dividing line. The second row, the cha row, the sounds have those same qualities as to high or low. They're made, however, at the roof of the mouth. So the first one is cha, the second cha, the third ja, and the 4th nya. The 4th letter in the second row is like the Spanish ña in mañana. The 3rd row, the sounds are all made at the teeth, so with the tip of the tongue at the back of the teeth. So the first one is short and high, so ta. The second one is medium in length, breathy and high, so ta. The 4th one is long and low, da. The 3rd one, rather, is long and low, da. The 4th one is long and low and nasal, na. So when we talk about nasal sounds, there's some vibration that happens in the nasal passages when we make those sounds. The 4th row, the sounds are all made at the lips. So we have pa, pa, ba, ma. The 5th row, the first 3 sounds are, the letters, first of all, are in appearance very like the first 3 letters in the second row, with the exception that these have a small flag, you could say, on them. These sounds are also made at the roof of the mouth. So we have tsa, tsa, za. And then the 4th, we've crossed over the demarcation line there, the red line. The 4th sound in the 5th row is made at the lips, wa. Now, if you're following along in the book, Introduction to Tibetan Level 1, it would be good to look at page 3 at this point. So I'll recite once through the first 20 letters, the first letters, the letters in the first 5 rows. So we have ka, ka, ga, na. Then the second row, the sounds are all made at the roof of the mouth. So we have cha, cha, ja, nya. In the third row, ta, ta, da, na. In the fourth row, pa, pa, ba, ma. And then in the fifth row, tsa, tsa, za, wa. Now with the sixth row, all of these characteristics, all these qualities of short and high and breathy, etc., that we talked about in the first 19 letters, the first 19 consonants, those qualities are no longer relevant. We have a new set of characteristics for the sounds below the dividing line. In the sixth row, all the sounds are a low tone or a falling tone. So we have ja, za, ah, ya. And in the seventh row, the first 2 sounds are level in tone, so just quite like English, ra, la. But the second 2, the third and the fourth letters in the seventh row are high tones, so sha, sa. And in the eighth, they're high tones also, ha, ah. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th rows would be ja, za, ah, ya. Ra, la, sha, sa, ha, ah. So Tibetan is read left to right and top to bottom, just like English. So it's very good to memorize the alphabet, ka through a, the 30 consonants. Each of the 30 consonants, you may have noticed, has the vowel sound ah within it. We call it the inherent ah, or the inherent vowel sound. The last letter of the alphabet is a high-toned ah, and the third letter in the 6th row is a low-toned ah. The high-toned ah is regarded as the universal sound, the mother of all sound, the perfection of wisdom in one sound. And that is the ah that's found in all of the 30 consonants. It's also present in the vowels. Tibetan doesn't have a separate letter to indicate the vowels like we do in English with A, E, I, O, U. It rather assumes the inherent ah vowel, so that's the vowel unless otherwise indicated. Then it uses a series of marks to indicate the other vowels. So here we have the letter ah written 5 times. So we see that ah is the last of the 30 consonants here. And then when we speak of the 5 vowels, ah is also the first of the vowels. Ah is the base sound that's used to indicate the other vowel signs, the other vowel sounds rather, which are marked with these different signs. So each of the signs has a mark, and each of these signs indicates a new vowel sound. Each of the 4 vowel signs can be put on any one of the 30 consonants. So now in the Level 1 book, we're on page 5. The first vowel sign is called a gigu, and it gives the vowel sound E. E, as in me or we, see. The second of the vowel sounds, and I should say about the first of the vowel sounds, the gigu is made by making a counterclockwise hook first, lifting the pen, and then going back and making a stroke that goes from thick to thin, top right to bottom left. The gigu then gives us the E sound. The next vowel sign is called a shabq. It's made in one motion from the top here around the hook and back to the top left. This vowel sound is called a shabq. That's the name of the vowel sign. The sound that it makes is oo. The long oo, as in moon. So for instance, if we took the fourth letter in the fourth row, the ma, and put a shabkyu on it, we would change the sound from ma to mu. The drengbu, the next vowel sign, gives the vowel sound a. So for instance, if we took the same vowel sign here, ma, the same consonant ma, and put a drengbu on it, we would then have ma, drengbu, may. The last of the vowels is the O sound. This vowel sign is called the naro. Putting a naro on any one of the 30 consonants will change its vowel sound from A to O. So this would be ma, naro, mo. To use the same example with the gigu, the first of the vowel signs. Here we have the consonant ma again. We put a gigu on it. And then we have ma, gigu, mi. So these are the 5 vowels, the inherent a with each of the 4 vowel signs. So here we have a, e, u, a, o. The 4th letter in the 4th row is ma. It means mother. It's a word that means mother. And pa, by the way, means father. If we take that basic sound ma and change it to mi by adding the gigu, ma, gigu, mi, we get the word person. If we take the same base letter ma, add the shabkyu to it, we get the word ma, shabkyu, mu. Is how we would spell it. We would just pronounce it mu. It can mean boundary, edge, or extreme, something like that. Taking the consonant ma, again, adding the drengbu sound to it, vowel sign to it, we get the sound ma, drengbu, may, which is a word meaning fire. And using the ma once again, the root letter we call it here, with the vowel sign naro, which gives us o, we get ma, naro, mo, which means she. Unlike English, several of the 30 consonants are actually words unto themselves. In the book we have the middle section of the book, the blue section of the Level 1 book, is the vocabulary section, and in there are listed several of the 30 consonants which are also words. So for instance, the second letter in the alphabet, ka, means mouth, na means I or me, cha means part, ja is tea, nya is fish, da is now, na is if, pa is father, ba cow, ma mother, tsa hot, wa fox, ra goat, la to, at, in, of, etc., and mountain pass, sha meat or flesh, Sa means earth, ground, stage, place, or the Sanskrit word bhumi. So several of what we have here, we have 30 consonants. Several of them are actually words. Each of them is a syllable unto itself. Again, the syllables are indicated by the dots or sake. Now I'd like to present a little historical background for the Tibetan language. The Buddha taught in India about 500 BC or BCE, before the contemporary era. It was hundreds of years after his time that the Dharma came to Tibet. In the 7th century of the current era, in the 600s in other words, the Tibetan king Songtsen Gampo married a Nepali princess and a Chinese princess, as well as the 3 Tibetan wives that he already had. Each of the new princesses was Buddhist, and they brought the Buddhist teachings to the king. Another version of the story says that Songtsen Gampo, the king, was an emanation of Chenrezig, the Buddha of love and compassion, who, seeing his people suffering and creating suffering, decided that what they needed was the teachings of the Buddha to be brought to the land of Tibet. One of the things that the king did in order to bring the Dharma to Tibet was send his minister Tunmi Sambodha to India, probably Kashmir, to study all the major and minor arts and sciences of Buddhism. Tunmi Sambodha then returned. He flourished around 625 of our era and created the Tibetan script, the Tibetan grammar, and greatly transformed the Tibetan language as we know it. So now I'd like to return to talking about the language itself. So we saw that there are 30 consonants and 5 vowels. Many of the 30 consonants are themselves words unto themselves. We saw that we have dots which separate the syllables in a line of Tibetan, and they're called sake, and vertical strokes called she that mark the end of lines in Tibetan. So the end of lines aren't necessarily sentences. Tibetan does something else, which we'll see later, to mark the end of sentences, but the she's are used to mark the ends of lines, such as in a poem or a prayer. The prayers and many of the sadhanas or liturgical texts are written in poetry of a set number of syllables per line. So after each line, we would have a she, with a vertical stroke. So 30 different consonants and 4 vowel signs. Each of the 4 vowel signs can be put on the 30 consonants. So with the 2, the consonants and the vowel signs, there are now 150 sounds that we can make. Many of these new sounds are also words. For instance, just to mention a few of them, if you're following along in the book, this would be the 2nd blue page, Level 1, Vocabulary B. So the syllable cha is the word part. If we place the vowel sign shabq on it, we have cha, shabq, chu, which means water. We saw earlier from vocab 1a that la, the consonant la, can be the preposition in. So, water in. So this is something different from English. The word order is a little bit, it's backwards from the way English works. The reason for that is, so we have water in, which would just mean in water or in the water. Tibetan doesn't have a word for the, so in translating we just supply the where appropriate. All languages can be classified into two types. Those languages which are subject, object, verb, and those languages which are subject, verb, object. So English would be a subject, verb, object. So, for instance, in the sentence, I read French, the subject would be I, the verb would be read, and the object would be French. This is the way that English works, subject, verb, object. So linguists will classify all languages as either subject, object, verb, or subject, verb, object. Tibetan, however, reads subject, object, verb. So just using English words, but to indicate the Tibetan word order, we would have I, French, read. This causes us to have, rather than the English prepositions like in, preposition, the English word preposition is of course made of the prefix pre and position. And the idea is the words that we call prepositions, the particles we could call them, they're placed before the word they modify, as in. Water, the preposition, it's placed before the word it modifies, in water. And in Tibetan, however, we say water in. That's that which we call the preposition in English. That term is no longer satisfactory because the preposition that was placed before in English comes after in Tibetan. So sometimes we refer to the preposition, what we normally call a preposition, as a postposition because it comes after the word it modifies. So here, cha, shabkyu, chu, water, la, in. So chu, la, in the water. So this is an aspect of Tibetan that's different from English. Here's another. I read French in English, but Tibetan would say I, French, read. So this is an important thing to keep in mind when we're reading Tibetan. So some other examples. In the vocabulary B section, we see the word, first of all, in the A section of the vocabulary, we see the word ra, which is goat. But if we put the vowel sign gigu on top of it, we get the word that's spelled ra, gigu, ri. That's how we would spell it in Tibetan. We say the consonant first, the name of the vowel sign, and then the resulting sound. So ra, gigu, ri. The word ra, gigu, ri means mountain. So in Tibetan, if we were going to say on the mountain, we would have ra, gigu, ri, la, which is actually mountain on. The two words mountain on, so on the mountain. So this is a little bit about syntax, which is the organization of words in the sentence. So Tibetan syntax is going to be quite different from English syntax. Several things about Tibetan are very much like English. This is one of the things that's different. So back to the 30 consonants and the vowel signs then. Any one of the 30 consonants can have one of these 4 vowel signs placed over or under it, which will change the inherent vowel sound from ah to e, or oo, or a, or o. So the 5 Tibetan vowels are ah, e, oo, a, o. The 30 consonants, again, it's very good to memorize them left to right and top to bottom. As I've mentioned, that's alphabetical order. So I'd like to recite them one more time at this point. Ka, ka, ga, na, cha, cha, ja, nya, ta, ta, da, na, pa, pa, ba, ma, sa, sa, za, wa, ja, za, a, ya, ra, la, sha, sa, ha, ah. Now if we look at page 6 in the book, in the Level 1 book, page 6 illustrates the principle of using the vowel signs with the 30 consonants. So we can put a gigu, for instance, on each and every one of the 30 consonants. So if we do that for just a moment, I'll just do it orally here, we would have there's the gigu, which is going to change the vowel sound from ah to e. So this sound will go from ka to ki. It'll still be short and high, but the vowel sound will change from ah to e. So here, if we were to spell it, we would have again ka, gigu, ki. And now assuming that we have one of those gigus on each of the 30 consonants, I would like to spell through them all with the gigu on them. So we have the first one again, ka, gigu, ki, ka, gigu, ki, ga, gigu, gi, na, gigu, ni. So we're going down the first column there on page 6. Cha, gigu, chi, cha, gigu, chi, ja, gigu, ji, nya, gigu, ni, ta, gigu, ti, ta, gigu, ti, da, gigu, di, na, gigu, ni, pa, gigu, pi, pa, gigu, pi, ba, gigu, bi, ma, gigu, mi, tsa, gigu, tsi, tsa, gigu, tsi, za, gigu, zi, wa, gigu, wi, ja, gigu, ji, za, gigu, zi, a, gigu, i, ya, gigu, yi, ra, gigu, ri, la, gigu, li, sha, gigu, shi, sa, gigu, si, ha, gigu, hi, a, gigu, i. Okay, so that's a bit of review with the 30 consonants. And gigu, the first of the vowel signs. Were we to have shabkyu on each of them, we would have ka, shabkyu, ku, etc. Drengbu would be ka, drengbu, ke, and naro would be ka, naro, ko. So that's a review of the 30 consonants, the 4 vowel signs, and a little bit about Tibetan word order. Now I'd like to present a little bit of terminology. Most of you have probably seen Tibetan script. Tibetan can stack letters up on top of each other and have several letters left to right within the same syllable. We know that it's one syllable because there's one dot. The dot, or the tseik, marks the syllables in the Tibetan script. So here we have a syllable that's pronounced droop. When we see in text the English letters or the Roman letters indicating pronunciation, that's what we call the phonetics or the phonemic representation. When we see a one-to-one substitution of the Tibetan letters for Roman letters, that's what we call transliteration. It's only useful for people who can already read the Tibetan script. So for instance, here we have the B, S, G, R, etc. The B stands for the Tibetan letter Ba, the S for the Tibetan letter Sa, the G for the Tibetan letter Ga, etc. And this word could be translated accomplished. So accomplished would be the translation. So often in Buddhist texts and other texts we see the actual Tibetan, underneath of which we see the phonetics and then the translation. And then sometimes in footnotes, bibliographies, glossaries, etc., we see the transliteration. Transliteration is very useful for people who can already read the Tibetan script, but not of much use for people who can't. Now I'd like to present the next step in coming to read the Tibetan script, and that is what we call subscribed letters. In the stacking of letters, there are 4 letters that can be subscribed under other letters. The letter under which a letter is subscribed is called the root letter. So for instance here we have Ka, the first letter of the alphabet, with a subscribed letter beneath it. Now the 4 letters that can be subscribed are Ya, Ra, La, and Wa. When they're subscribed, they're written in an abbreviated form. So here we have what we call a Yata, which is a subscribed Ya. So the Tibetan letter Ya, here the 4th letter in the 6th row, when it is subscribed beneath another letter, is written in this form here. A Ra, the first letter in the 7th row, can also be subscribed. When it is subscribed, it's written in this form here. When a La is subscribed, it's written in its complete form like that. And then further, a Wa can be subscribed. When it's subscribed, it's written looking like that. So first of all, I would like to explain the 7 letters which can take a Ya subscribed beneath them. Again, a Ya is subscribed in the form of this device here. So what we have here is a Ka with a Ya subscribed beneath it. In spelling, in order to indicate that a letter is subscribed, to indicate that a Ya is subscribed, it's called a Yata, and the syllable Ta means affixed or added on. So this combination we would spell Ka, Yata, Kya. So in Tibetan spells, to spell Tibetan properly, you say the name of each of the elements and then the resulting sound. So this is the letter Ka, this is a subscribed Ya called a Yata, and the resulting sound would be Kya, like K-Y-A in English. So this would be Ka, Yata, Kya, still short and high because it's in the first column. This is Ka, Yata, Kya, and the apostrophe here indicates the breathiness or the aspiration. And thirdly, Ga, Yata, Gya. So those are quite reasonable when you add a Ka sound and a Ya sound and you get Kya, that's quite logical. And as all 3 there are quite logical. There are 3 letters from the first row, so I have the 1 there, the Ka, the Ga, the Ka, and the Ga. All of the letters from the 4th row, Pa, Pa, Ba, Ma, can take a subscribed Yata also. Something strange happens though when we combine these Ya sounds with the letters in the 4th row. Pa Yata becomes Cha, Pa Yata becomes Cha, ba yata ja, and ma yata nya. Now these resulting sounds, cha, 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 nya, are the same four sounds that we have in the second row of the alphabet. Cha, cha, ja, nya. So in effect, what's happening when we put a yata on a fourth row letter, the first one in the first column, pa yata, it's as if the sound jumps up to be the sound in the second row, first column, second row. Second column, fourth row with yata becomes second column, second row, etc. all the way through. So we have pa yata cha, pa yata cha, ba yata ja, and ma yata nya. So knowing that can help us memorize what we call the 7 yatas, especially the seemingly unreasonable combination of pa with yata equaling cha, etc. Knowing the 30 consonants well and knowing which letter, which row and which column letters occur in is very, very helpful. And this is one of the indications, one of the examples of that. If we know that a fourth row letter with a yata on it jumps up its column to become the second row, that's very, very helpful. But in order to make that helpful, we have to know what the fourth and second rows of the alphabet are, and knowing them column by column as well is very helpful. So this is what we call the 7 yatas then, the 7 root letters that can have ya subscribed to them. I'd like to spell through them one more time. So we have ka yata kya, ka yata kya, ga yata gya, pa yata cha, pa yata cha, ba yata ja, ma yata nya. Again, if a fourth row letter has a yata on it, its pronunciation is the same as its corresponding letter in the second row. So those are the yatas. Now I'd like to present the 14 ratas. So here we have yata, rata, lata, and wazur. So the letter ya is subscribed like this, the letter ra like this. Now there are 14 consonants that can have ra subscribed beneath them. If we start by looking at the third row, it's perhaps more accessible, the 14 ratas. The third row is the ta row, ta, ta, da, na. When we subscribe ra below the ta row, we get ta, rata, tra. So we're combining the ta sound with the ra sound and getting tra. First a short and high tra, then the breathy tra, then long and low dra. Those three make quite a bit of sense. The na, when it has ra subscribed below it, doesn't change at all. So we have na, rata, na. If we draw these lines like this, we recognize a pattern. The ta rata we said was tra. The other two letters with rata on them that occur in the first column are also pronounced tra. The second one was tra. The others in the second column are also tra. The third column, da rata, was dra, and so are the other two that occur in the third column. So now I'll spell through all the 14 ratas. We have ka rata tra, ka rata tra, ga rata dra, ta rata tra, ta rata tra, da rata dra, and na rata na. Those outside the box do not change pronunciation. So we have na rata na, ma rata ma. And then down from the 7th row of the alphabet, sha rata sha, sa rata sa. Then the last one from the 8th row of the alphabet, ha rata hra. If you've seen seed syllables, you may have seen this one. You recognize here the ha rata hra within that representation of a Sanskrit seed syllable with ha rata hra. You won't see it in very many words, but it is used to represent Sanskrit seed syllables. So the 14 ratas, you could say the base of coming to terms with them is the 3rd row, ta with rata making tra, etc. So 14 of the 30 consonants can have ra subscribed below them. Some of them are very commonly occurring in words, others aren't common at all. So we have yata and rata. It's very good to know the list, especially when we come to use the Tibetan dictionary, of the 4 letters that can be subscribed. The traditional order in which they are taught is this: yata, rata, lata, and wazur. Now I'd like to present the 6 letters that can have la subscribed beneath them. When la is subscribed beneath a root letter, it changes it radically. There are 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, ka, ga, ba, za, ra, and sa. 6 of the 30 consonants can take a la subscribed beneath them. 5 of them, when they have la subscribed beneath them, are changed, the root letter is changed to the sound la, and it's a high tone la. Sometimes we'll see a mark like this in the phonetics, and that indicates that the sound is high. So here we have ka with la subscribed beneath it, resulting in the sound la. So the way that would be spelled in Tibetan is ka la ta la. So the 6 letters, 5 of them change to la, but the 4th one is quite strange. It's the letter za from the 6th row, ja, za, aya. The za, when it has la subscribed below it, comes to be pronounced da. Strange but true. So the 6 letters then are ka, lata, la, ga, lata, la, ba, lata, la, za, lata, da, ra, lata, la, sa, lata, la. This combination za, lata, da occurs in a very common word, and there's another exceptional thing about the word. So I find it easy, many people find it easy to memorize the 2 exceptional things together in the one very common word. The other exception I haven't referred to yet, and that is when ba, the 3rd letter in the 3rd row, is the last syllable of a word. It's no longer pronounced ba, but wa. So this word, it has the 2 unusual things about it. The fact that za lata is da, and the fact that the the letter we have been used to seeing as ba is now pronounced wa because it's the last syllable of a word. We know it's the last syllable of the word because of the dots. There's 2 dots indicating that this ba is a separate syllable. And there's just 2 syllables there, so it's the last syllable of the word. So here we have za, lata, da, wa, dawa. When you spell a 2-letter syllable, you spell out each syllable and pronounce it entirely, and then go back and pronounce the entire word. So we have za, lata, da, wa, dawa. That's the Tibetan word for moon or month, very common. So that's a presentation of the yatas, the ratas, and the latas. The wazurs are the 4th of the letters that can be subscribed. Wazur, when it's subscribed to a root consonant, is merely subscribed in the form of this little triangle here. It's shorthand for the letter wa. Wa can be subscribed to 16 root letters, and it doesn't change the pronunciation of any of them. So they are ka, wazur, ka. So the subscripts are presented in the Level 1 book on page 7 and page 8. The wazurs being on page 8 at the middle of the page. You can see all 16 of them spelled out there. They're all spelled after the fashion of ka, wazur, ka. The wazur not changing the pronunciation of the root letter at all. So that's a presentation of the 4 subscripts, yata, rata, lata, and wazur.